Hello everybody out there, and welcome back to another Dark Avenger Comic Book review. And in this review we are going to be reviewing the books that came out of DC and Marvel on
October 22nd, 2014.
And there's one more week to go in October. By the time you see this video, it'll be Wednesday afternoon or night, depending on when this video, whenever I'm putting it up live. We are fresh off of Frontline Live, episode 32. We had a great time doing the Halloween special. Now, this video is late. Right after the indie review, which we recorded on Sunday night, Mike wasn't feeling good, so we decided to postpone this review, which led into another day because Mike wasn't feeling good on Monday night, and then we had the live show. So now we are recording at 1 o'clock in the morning, which isn't that bad.
No, not bad at all.
And we're going to be covering...
Besides, who cares when we record? We're night readers.
Yes, so... We're fresh off of a live show that was about 3 hours
so let's get to it.
So let's get to the books. First, this book came out last week, the week of the 15th, and that is The Death of Wolverine, Logan's Legacy, issue number 1. This is the Canadian variant. All the books apparently have Canadian variants, or it's just a blank background. Anyway, I thought I was going to like this series. I really did. I had high hopes, with The Death of Wolverine. I was like, yeah, I'm ready. And honestly, after reading this, and by the way, issue number 2 came out this week. After reading issue number 1, which was a grand setup for the entire Logan's Legacy series, I feel like this is going to be an over-glorified preview and setup for what's to come in the Wolverine Weekly series. Now, Wolverine is dead. Every time they killed a superhero in Marvel, they disappeared. That was it. They didn't talk about them for a time. Unless it was like Fear itself, which it only took about a half a year. But anyway, right away, Wolverine's killed, and we get a weekly series from it. This is the first ever Marvel weekly series, and Wolverine is dead. I don't understand. But anyway, this sets up the entire Legacy series where people who are close to Logan or part of the Weapon X project are being captured, and something surrounding Cornelius. There's a reason why he released all of them, including Wolverine, and this guy wants to find out why. So he wants everybody to recap all the events that led them to the point they're at by the end of this book. And this book, and basically the rest of the Legacy books, are all going to spotlight all the characters that were captured. The characters were Lady Deathstrike, Sabretooth, Daken, X-23, and Mystique. And, of course, for issue number 2, we get X-23, and we find out how she's dealing with Wolverine's death. She goes away for a while because she's more angry because Wolverine left her. He promised he never would. He became mortal. He lost his healing factor, and then he died. She meets this character, this hero that was part of Alpha Flight, actually, I believe, or an employee of Roxxon. He has leukemia, and he has a very brightly colored uniform or costume. And he teaches X-23 a lot, and then that's where we find out that she dyed her hair. In the first issue, we find out she dyed her hair yellow and blue. We find out that the reason she got the highlights was to remember Wolverine. And next issue, I believe, spotlights Sabretooth, which we are getting. I don't know. Mike's buying this. Mike's buying the Legacy books. So, as long as Mike's interested in checking them out, I checked out the first 2. Mike will continue with a few others. He did have a lot. Basically, after these 2 books, I have nothing left for Marvel except for one other book. So, Mike's very heavy on Marvel this week. Next week, when Logan's Legacy issue number 3 comes out, if Mike wants to take the reins, he can, because each issue is a standalone issue. So, Mike, let's you begin the Marvel rundown. And obviously, we're going to be cutting these short because you're watching this when the books for this week come out.
This is half and half I would give of All New Invaders issue number 11. In this book, if I could bestly just sum it up, it's just basically the team trying to find Jim Hammond, who they couldn't find, and as they're trying to look for him, they said last time he was out of control, and this is nice artwork, by the way, that he was out of control after that battle. Namor, Captain America, and Bucky want to try to find a way to stop him. So as they keep going, there's also Radiance, who actually comes in this issue, who was in a couple of issues back, and he tries to stop him, and after a while he just says that he feels guilt about the atom bomb in this. And now Moore talks heart to heart with him, saying, you gotta stop this, because you can't just keep going around like this. And there was like long dialogue, and if you want to find out this new mission that both Jim Hammond and now Moore went to, definitely read the book. So he did control it after a while, but how they did it was really good in this book. So it was an okay, like half and half, but I'll check out the next issue to see how it goes there. And this actually was not Book of the Week, actually. This was actually second place. All New X Factor Access, issue number 15, where we start Access. And it's amazing it's not Book of the Week, but I really like this issue. It just talks about... what?
Fingerprints.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel, you guys suck with your
basically
covers.
In Washington, D.C., there was a briefcase that had a football in it. And it shows how Quicksilver took this football. And this football, we find out later on in the story, is actually something that Harrison was looking for other stuff. Meanwhile, we have Georgia, who comes in the battle with Luna and Doug, or Cypher, however you say his name, where they do their side missions, and yeah, so I mean, the artwork's like really nice, like as always in this comic. And here's the football that they were talking about. And this football is actually a like some type of it's basically what the president can still launch missiles and stuff like that. So they just want to take it away, and they can't, attack them because they have a force field around them. And then after that, well, let's just say we have some visitors who are going to be attacking the all-new X Factor team. So this one was really good for that. I can't believe, though, it's still ending, but...
Oops, I put that in the wrong order. We'll fix that later.
But,
just don't forget to fix that later.
Yeah.
Alright, my last book from Marvel this week is The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 8. This was my favorite book out of all the Marvel books this week. I really enjoyed it a lot. Honestly, this was a filler story. It continues Spider-Man and Miss Marvel's fight against whom we believe is the a woman acting on the Kree's behalf. It turns out this woman isn't even working under Kree ruling. She's on her own. And we get a little bit more into Silk's character, a little bit more building. We get to actually see, I want to get to the page, the costume for the first time. And we find out that one of, I forgot her name's, henchman, spoiler alert here, was none other than the character we just read about in the .1s for Amazing Spider-Man, Clash. Whom ever since that time, ever since that first fight between Clash and Spider-Man, he just went from henchman job to henchman job to henchman job. And before that, by the way, the Inhuman, the cocoon cracks open and it turns out it's a baby. We have Silk, like I showed you guys. She's doing her own thing, which I like. Silk's moving on into her own thing, and she's not really interacting too much with Pete. So Pete offers Clash a job, and he ends up working for Parker Industries, kind of like a second chance kind of deal. Then we get into the beef of this book, the main reason why a lot of people are loving it, and that's the backup story, which is the Edge of the Spider-Verse, My Brother's Keeper. Mayday Parker has gotten her ass kicked by Morlun, and Morlun's there for 3 people. May, her brother, Ben, and Pete. By the end of this story, though, everybody from Comic Frontline predicted it right. Spoiler alert, even though it's a week late already, May and Ben are the only survivors of the family. Mary Jane and Peter Parker both meet their end to Morlun. But what really made this issue impactful was May's statement to Morlun, where she says, no matter what values, no matter what my father taught me, the next time I see you, I will kill you. This was a spectacular book. I loved it. Left out a bunch of details, though, on purpose, especially with the filler story. Filler story was okay for what it was. What made this book was the May Day story, and what's really upsetting, and why I take 1 star away from this book to make it a 4-star book, is the fact that the shorter story should have been the longer story, and the filler story should have been the backup, honestly, in my opinion.
Alright, and I thought of giving this a try, relating to Axis of Hobgoblin issue number 1. What I like about these villain books is that they've been turning over a new leaf. We saw Magneto turn over a new leaf.
Well, that's because of what happened in Axis.
Right. We saw Magneto turn over a new leaf, so now we have Hobgoblin who turned over a new leaf, who is actually more of a public speaker, actually, in this issue from what I saw. And they also said to read Axis 3 first before getting into this, but I've read this anyway because really just talking about how John Myers, who is the Hobgoblin, how his origin story of you know, what he did and everything else. Basically, he was trying to do like more, like I said, of public speaking and here's some artwork. And Roderick Kingsley, like he's just making a lecture about the Kingsley program and about a book that he wrote, which was the one I just showed you before, which is the cover of this, but it has a different title. And he's just talking about, you know, brand new changes and everything, and there's like a whole I like this page over here. That
yeah, it turns out Ben Urich, Hobgoblin, wants to take out
the real Hobgoblin.
The real Hobgoblin, yeah.
Right. So yeah, they just want there to be a new Goblin King and everything, and lots of havoc and
Menace is still around. I like how they showed Menace a little bit.
Yeah, Menace actually appeared in this issue. Thanks, I almost forgot about that. Well, I don't want to give too much away, but it was really enough. So, yeah, there's Miss Hollister, who has a text from to Roderick to let her into the club and everything, or this place that they do the announcement. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was a good comic book, but it was, you know, something for that. Axis issue number 3. The whole thing where Magneto has a team of villains and the good guys going up against Red Skull. So, and basically this is how it starts off right here with amazing artwork. And the villains who Magneto had team up with, they go up against the Red Skull machine. And Magneto's trying to be a team player here. And what I noticed from what they said on the live show is that Deadpool's character was way off, kinda.
They were saying everybody's character was way off.
Well, yeah, also, yeah, Havoc as well. But, you know, so basically it's just the Red Skull who wants to just basically, you know, take over the world and serve them all and yada yada yada, while they're trying to stop him. So they actually did, but there was actually one scene that reminded me of Avengers vs. X-Men where Cyclops was talking to the new Captain America over here, where Cyclops said, you know, that we have to help him and just bring him back to life. And then they're saying that, no, we're taking him in, and end of that, which was over here. And I thought it was going to be another Avengers vs. X-Men. I'm like, oh no, let's not do this again, like they did on that island, you know. And I forgot what his name was. Evan actually comes in, and he says that he has an idea and of how to solve this. And well, if you want to know what it is, pick up the book and find out of what they're going to do about the Red Skull. So this was actually interesting and something to definitely look into.
Alright, we are officially now in DC Comics. We're officially halfway through the pile. I'm very surprised. We're going really quickly. Batman Beyond Universe issue 15, digital first book. I'm going to say this really quickly. I was loving Batman Beyond. I still am liking the book. However, the reason I stuck so long with Batman Beyond, with Unlimited and with Universe, is because there was more than one story in it, and it wasn't focused on Batman Beyond. It focused on Superman Beyond or Justice League Beyond. Now, for the past couple of issues, I've noticed we are literally just focusing on Batman, just on Terry. And no, it's not a bad thing, especially if you're a fan of Terry McGinnis. I like Terry as Batman Beyond, but when I get this book, especially because it has the title Universe, I'm expecting to get at least 2 stories in each book, and I really bought this. A bulk of my reason for buying this book was for Superman Beyond. And I haven't seen Superman for 2 issues now. I'm giving this 1 more issue. If I see we're sticking with just Terry, I might drop the book just because there are other books that I'm going to be looking into soon. And as much as I'm enjoying this, I'm not overly enjoying it like I used to, because I don't want just Batman Beyond. I want to see more of the Beyond universe. That's why the title, that's why I wanted to read this. But anyway, Terry's girlfriend, it turns out she goes back to her ways, he believes, a little bit. He's still no good with Bruce. He's going up against the Royal Flush Gang. And everything goes kind of haywire a bit. There's some side stuff going on with another character. No spoilers here. Of course, this is already a month late. You guys are already in the next story.
Late.
No, it's a month.
Oh, a month late. Oh, yeah, digital. Right. Forgot. Digital first.
We'll say the artwork is very nice, but the story itself just did not hold me. Halfway through the book, I felt like, okay. And it kind of ends with Terry breaking up with the girl because he sees that she's kind of not going to change, because she kind of ended up right back where she was before. Like, you can't trust her, and they end up splitting, which I thought was wrong on Terry's part. And every time things go wrong now in Terry's life, he goes back to the Justice Lord's universe, where he trains T and sees his father. And Dick is starting to feel the same way I am. He's starting to go there a little bit too much, and he's getting too comfortable with the universe. Obviously, his father's alive there, and he's training T in the Justice Lord universe to be Batman, but a large lump sum of it, obviously, is because his father's there, I think. And what he's doing is he's trying to fill the hole of his loss, and it's not good, because the more he's going, the more he's obsessing over going back to that universe, and that's not his universe. He doesn't belong there. He belongs in his universe, and at some point I have a feeling the connection between the 2 universes is going to be severed, and he's going to snap. And I don't know, we'll see, but a little bit uninterested. I don't know, it just didn't hold me as much as I was hoping it would this week. Red Lantern 35. Honestly, it feels like its own book up until the end. When the end comes, that's when the connection with Godhead begins. We got Guy Gardner on Earth trying to fix things with ice so bad. They go on a vacation right across the ocean from a place that's under what was it? I said it. That's being ruled by a tyrant, or here we go. Across the star lies the lawless state of Kwarak, under control of a brutal, probably insane dictator. So basically, he's there to fix or to bring law to Kwarak, because 2814 is technically the Red Lantern sector to protect. So the date with him and Ice, kind of, you could tell it wasn't really as much a date as it was him trying to fix something on Earth to make it safer. He goes there and tries to confront the ruler, which basically he has superpowers as well. And that's when the new gods show up, and they basically are there to take Guy Gardner's ring. However, there's a fight before that breaks out with the the ruler of Quadrak, and they make easy work of him. They make easy work of Guy Gardner until Simon Boz shows up. And then it turns out the connection with New Guardians happens, because Allfather calls everybody back to New Genesis. He's like, I have him. I need you by my side now. And they leave, but Guy Gardner is not one to just let this lie. He says they're going to a place called New Genesis. We need to find out how to get there and bring the fight to them before they bring the fight back to us. A decent issue. Again, God's Head is a hit and miss series right now, depending on what issue you're reading. I thought that New Guardians was really good. However, Red Lanterns, this was a good standalone book without having, you know, to add the new gods at the end. But it is now connected to God's Head, so it's going to be interesting to see where things go from here with this book. Yeah, I'm going through a lot of books. Superman, issue number 35. They are going after, I forgot the supervillain's name already. How about that? The, there's a scene at the Daily Planet, which I thought was really nice, where Perry White's still trying to get Clark to come back to the Daily Planet, and, what was it? Oh, the mechanics. I can't say the name today. Basically, the person Ulysses killed in the previous issue, turns out the person was already dead. So Superman tries to ease Ulysses' mind, and actually they find something where Ulysses could track where the real mechanic is. And they show up. The artwork is alright. I'm not really a fan of John Romita Jr.'s artwork. That's one of the drawbacks of this book, in my opinion. But they do finally confront the mechanic, and in the end, though, Ulysses kind of learns that, you know, so we do all this, and all we do is hope that the world will change. He said, how many people will change? 1, 2? He said, and Superman says, some people change, not all. And he can't accept that. He wants a world, you know, that's, what's the word I'm looking for? Peace, that's run by peace, where you don't have to hope that people will change, where people can be saved. And he comes up with an idea, and I'm not going to spoil the ending, but we have Clark at the Daily Planet, still working on the Ulysses story, and then Ulysses pulls a white rabbit out of the hat, so to speak, by the end of this issue, where he's not happy with the way Earth is, so instead he makes an offer to the people of Earth. Very interesting final part of the ending. Definitely grasps me back into the story and makes me very interested to see where we're going to go with this series, starting with the next issue. So those are my lower tier books this week. From here are my higher tier, but Mike does have a book, and you have enough time to do it.
He-Man Master of the Universe issue number 18, flat out book of the week for DC. Or throughout this whole pile, because
I don't think you have any more after that.
Yeah, I do.
You do one more.
Yeah. So it's basically the origin of you know, how She-Ra. Yeah, I was gonna say She-Ra, but I want to know what her real name is. How She-Ra became you know, She-Ra, and there's lots of Grayskull sword that's mentioned, where she fights off against what's his name? This villain. Like, I'm trying to remember what his name is. Like,
we're bad with names.
Well, he's destroyers of Grayskull's legacy, obviously, and there's this scene right here. Well, I don't want to show that scene. Basically, she wins, and she has the power of the Sword of Grayskull. And sure enough, when she says, "For the honor of Grayskull, I am She-Ra," and that's a really awesome page right there. So, and she also goes to resurrect Prince Adam, or He-Man actually, and he's just saying, you know, like, I don't understand, like, what just happened, and he sees that there's a creator's breath, and this one right here, this picture is awesome, where they both use the power of Grayskull and say that they both have the power. And this is actually leading into something, which is an epilogue over here.
A prelude.
Well, they said epilogue here. That leads into the prelude to Eternity War.
That's going to be a series that starts up in January.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very interesting...
And he claims that the power of Grayskull is going to be his once and for all. That's really something. This was just absolutely phenomenal. Really, I'm glad I'm still sticking to it. Just pick it up. It's the Prelude to Eternity War, and I'm looking forward to reading that.
Alright, now I have enough time for this. The Flash issue number 35, I really enjoyed this issue. So, the Flash from the future, in the previous issue, which was the one-shot from 5 years later, got knocked into present-day DCU. From the events that happened about 2.5 years prior. Lots of time travel. You guys are going to have a headache like we did on the live show trying to explain this. But anyway, he's there to kill Barry and fix the rip in the what is it? The Speed Force. And right away he takes Barry, drags him to where the tear in the Speed Force is, which is right where what's his name? Daniel West became the Reverse Flash, and between Reverse Flash and Grodd and Flash himself, the tear just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But in this time, in the present right now, the tear can be fixed, but future Barry says it can only be fixed with the sacrifice of present-day Flash. The artwork is spectacular in this book. I really, really love the artwork in this book. But Flash in the present gets saved by the Flash that was created in the future, Wally West Flash. How does Wally West Flash save Barry? I'm not going to spoil that. You really got to read this book, but Wally does make an ultimate sacrifice to save the Barry of the present. However, in saving Barry in the present, he traps future Barry in the present and sends Barry somewhere far, far away. My prediction is that it says the Flash, all new, all murderous. So I'm guessing that Barry Allen from the future is going to be taking over as the Barry Allen of the present, and wherever present-day Barry Allen went, first of all, present-day Barry Allen has lost his Flash, his powers, due to what Wally had to do in order to fix the tear in the Speed Force and save Barry from the present. However, Barry from the present is now somewhere in time, and I believe he's in 5 years later. I believe that Barry's going to be playing a major role in Future's End at some point. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see in the next issue, but if a Flash is involved in a major event, yeah, you gotta know that there's going to be some type of a soft reboot or some type of a reboot somewhere, because now the Flash is in the future, or we don't know where, he's far, far away. We'll find out in the next issue, but this was an amazing book. The fight scene between the two Flashes was awesome. Wally's appearance was awesome. I really hope at some point we find a way to bring that Wally Flash back into the present, so to speak. Have him as Kid Flash, maybe, or somehow Barry will reboot the universe or do something to the universe again, and things will fix up completely. Anyway, give us just 2 seconds, guys, and with the click of the button, we will continue and finish this week's comic books. All right, and we're back, and Mike, your book is next.
All right, Justice League Dark issue number 35. And before the story begins, it actually says, from what's coming out this week, is that it takes place in Justice League Dark Annual issue number 2, and I decided not to get it because, I don't know, Justice League Dark's kind of getting a little bit too much. Like there's just so much in the story, like, that you have to take in a little bit. But in this issue, it was just, you know, Zatanna in a different universe, and her father makes an appearance, Giovanni Satara. Basically, she makes from the past. And it's really father and daughter scene where, you know, he takes her to the past where she was a kid with his wife and himself, and this is Zatanna when she was a little girl. And I'm 5 years old at the time. So she's just trying to figure. She said her name was Dorothy, just as a little, you know, so that way things. So that way she doesn't let them know that her real name's Zatanna or anything. So basically, with all that, after a while, like, she liked, you know, listening to stories and everything. It was heartfelt. And the Justice League Dark team actually make an appearance where Andrew Bennett's actually back, it looks like. So I guess he left Die Vampire, it looks like. and Constantine's there, but then it was just all fake, obviously, which kind of I saw it coming actually. And then both Zatanna and her father fight off against the demons, and the father leaves because of other stuff. And at the end, I'm not gonna tell you what happens because let's just say it leads them to the end of the world.
Interesting.
And now they gotta find out what's going to happen now. But yeah, but like I said, do not expect me to get Justice League Dark Annual issue number 2 because I'm not gonna get it. However, I am getting the Justice League United annual, so you'll be expecting me to review that. Except for this week.
Deathstroke number 1, Tony S. Daniel, written and art. Did it make it? Did it do better than Deathstroke number 1 did on the launch month of the New 52? Yes! This is the Deathstroke series I was hoping for way back when the New 52 started. This was a very good book. It opens up with a heavy dialogue, lots of background, lots of fleshing out the story, lots of very good artwork. But it all culminates and it reaches a point where it all makes sense. You got Deathstroke carrying out a job, basically. And it turns out the job was supposed to be a trap, so to speak. And it did end up as a trap.
Wow, the artwork is gorgeous.
Get trapped. He does narrowly escape. I'm not going to say how. But the ending leaves you questioning whether it actually takes place in the present or if it actually takes place in the past. Whoa. Because of that last page.
Ouch.
But this book was solid. The writing was solid. I'm not going to spoil this book. You guys got to read this first issue, and we'll talk about the second issue absolutely. But the action was non-stop. The story was solid. Absolutely. The artwork was gorgeous. And the ending...
I said that.
The ending definitely makes you want to come back for the next issue. This is the way Deathstroke should have been written all the way back about 2 years ago when the New 52, or 3 years ago when the New 52 started.
Oh, Tony S. Daniel
did an amazing job. This book was awesome. Pick of the week. This is my pick of the week. This was amazing. Beats Amazing Spider-Man by a hair, but just spectacular. 4.5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely. Half star taken away just because I want to see where the next issue goes. First, I want to know if we're going to be having a flashback story or if we're actually going to be sticking to present day. That's going to be even better. So, awesome book though. And now all that's left is the weeklies. And man, guys, I got to tell you, 1 out of 3, that ain't nice, but the New 52 Futures End 25 was another book that was just long and drawn out. You have Superman fighting this purple monster. I love the background. I noticed the cover today. We have all the classic Superman fighting Brainiac in all different timelines, and it opens up with Stormwatch fighting the robots that are being led by Brainiac. And then you got the island where Grifter and Deathstroke, along with 50 Sue and Lana from Earth 2, figure out that 50 Sue's talking with Brother Eye, and we find out that basically, what's his name, Faraday, he has powers too, and he leaves the island basically because a lot of things happen. I don't want to give away the dialogue for it, but it was very eh. But then the rest of the book is basically Superman fighting that monster, and then it jumps to Ronnie and Jason, and Ronnie wants to now be Firestorm again. Lots of wah wah whining, and Jason saying we'll never be Firestorm again. I can't be that way. Whine, whine, whine. Ronnie wanting the attention and the powers, and Jason saying never again. And then we find out the Professor hears all this going on, and it's to be continued. This is probably leading into Tim's girlfriend becoming the second Firestorm. I'm guessing. I don't know for sure, but it was an okay issue at best. At best, it was just an okay issue. Batman Eternal 29 was, guess what the cover tells you it all. I told you guys the one story I was not really interested in was the Batwing story because it's all about Arkham Asylum and ghosts and whatnot, and guess what this entire book was about? the ghosts and whatnot, and the sacrifices. But Batwing actually snaps out of what he's in and actually fights back, which is a good thing. And we have Batman still trying to figure out what's going on in Gotham, and we find out that Hush actually planned all this in Arkham as well. Penny 2, which is Alfred's daughter, is actually deciphering a message the Riddler left for Batman, basically. And the riddle said, actually, if you can read this, you're smart enough to realize Arkham is just a piece of the plan. If you can read this, you are smart enough to know our foe. Basically meaning that it's Red Hood. And that's really it. It has the Joker's daughter still in Arkham. You got a lot of crazy stuff going on in Arkham. And the Spectre is starting to come out slowly, so we might be seeing the Spectre soon. And you got Nightwing, who's actually fighting to save the Spectre by the end of this book. And let's just say this happens in the end. I don't know, Batman Eternal, I'm having a hard time gripping this story because Future's End, there's a lot of stuff going on at once. Batman Eternal, it's a lot of stuff going on to Batman at once. Would have been nice to have the stories kind of like, I don't know, between these two, I feel like the stories are all over the place and back again. However, the one weekly series that actually is holding strong still is Earth 2 World's End issue number 3. You have, I forgot what the Hound of Apocalypse was, Fury. She brainwashes the girls into fighting Batman and Superman using some type of a mind control, and she actually gets into Red Tornado's head as well, and she sends them off to fight against Batman and Superman while she, I forget, she gets called away somewhere. And we see in Rio, you got Green Lantern fighting against Apocalypse. In London, you have Famine, and she's wreaking havoc all over London. Green Lantern's fighting Pestilence, and then Atlantis is about to feel the wrath of death. And then you got the world armies who want to interrogate Mr. Miracle, read the book to find out what happens there. That was really good. You got Dick Grayson of Earth 2, you know, barely surviving. There's a Constantine reference, apparently. Constantine gets thrown into Earth 2 for a time. It says, see Constantine 19.
Well, I dropped Constantine. So
apparently Constantine ends up on Earth 2 for one issue, and this is like the only scene where we see Constantine throughout the whole book. So apparently he's just thrown on Earth 2, and that's the last we see of him. Red Tornado finally snaps out of the mind control, and so does Huntress and Power Girl. Jimmy gets reached out to by Mother Box, which was really cool. Mother Box actually says, you know, it wants Jimmy. You got Mr. Miracle, Big Barda, and Fury. A lot of stuff goes on by the end of this issue, but the goal is to stop the Warriors of Apocalypse and to find out how to stop Apocalypse, the planet, from crashing into Earth, because in 21 days, collision is imminent for both planets. And I'm not going to spoil the ending, but let's just say things don't look so good for Atlantis when Aquawoman goes back. So much good stuff going on. Lots of action. Great artwork. Great artwork. Loving the artwork. And a solid story. Lots going on in this book, but at the same time, I feel like whereas Batman Eternal, it's a lot of stuff happening at once, and Future's End, there's a lot of different plots going on at once. Earth 2 is sticking with one story and fleshing it out, but it's sticking with the main story. It's not going all over the place. It's not following a million different characters. The story is the exact same thing, and they're following the same point. So every book, it's the same characters, but it advances the story. Batman Eternal, there's like 12 different things going on in Gotham right now. In Future's End, there's 12 different characters in 12 different settings, all fighting for the same thing and pushing towards the dark future that is going to happen 5 years from that point. Or 35 years from that point. So, a lot of stuff goes on in these books, but it's scatterbrained. This book actually holds tight, which I really like. highly recommend you guys check out World's End this week. And with that, that's it for this review, guys. I'm exhausted, man. 2 reviews, a live show and a review. That's a first for us. Tomorrow we're done for the night. So tomorrow we'll be shooting stuff for Comic Frontline. So look forward to videos on Comic Frontline Wednesday night.
And to everybody out there, happy Halloween this Friday.
This is the last review until Halloween, so we hope you guys have a happy Halloween.
But also, don't forget on Halloween to check out Dark Avenger Live.
Yes, Dark Avenger Live. We are going to be doing something special. Follow my Twitter. I will tell you guys, it is probably going to be either an 8 or 8:30 show. We have a first segment, which is going to be special for Halloween, and then we'll see if we work in a second segment or if we might just end the show right there. The new show is coming, only 2 episodes away for the new live show title and the new relaunch show there. Look forward to a special unboxing for Halloween on Comic Frontline. We got a new game, so we got a lot of stuff going on Frontline Gaming Zone. Mike and I are looking into getting some old games and doing maybe an unboxing. All this is tentative. All this is, and we got a huge month coming up for November. Lots of games coming out in November. So, until next time, don't forget to check out Comic Frontline, Comic Related, Zone 4 Podcast, and Frontline Gaming Zone. Together, we are your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. Feel free to leave comments below, and we will answer your guys' comments. Please be at the live show this Friday, and we will talk to you guys live while we are doing what we're doing in the first segment.
So come up with questions if you have any, and we will try to answer them as soon as possible. And hope all of you out there have a great Halloween as well.
So until then, guys, take care, keep reading, keep collecting. We'll see you guys in the next review.
Later, everybody.